Hi, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of our RCE Americas meeting. It's nice to see everyone. Today, we're going to begin with an advisor update by Roger, and then we're going to be getting into our youth network that we have in the Americas, and then we're going to have a presentation by our communications committee, and then we're going to take a break, and then we're going to have all of our wonderful RCE Americas presentations. We have interpreters for tonight as well. If you are interested in interpretation, click on the circle that looks like the World Bank logo, and you'll be able to click on your language of choice when you're listening to it. And thank you so much for everything. We are on a really quick schedule tonight because we do have a ton of presentations. So if you do have questions, try and hold them until the end or add them to our chat box. But we can definitely address the questions after all of our presentations. So Roger, would you like to get going?
Sure, why not? I'll just share my, oh, I didn't want to do that. I want to just share my screen.
Thanks. Let me know if you have any problems.
I think it'll work.
Awesome, we see it.
Okay, and I'll just start my slideshow. So good afternoon. My name is Roger Petrie, and I'm the UN University's regional advisor for the RCEs in the Americas. Each of the continental regions has an advisor. This is my second year in this position, and I'm so pleased to see the great progress each of our RCEs is making in the Americas, despite such difficult times. You all need to be congratulated for your perseverance, but also your hopefulness and your accomplishments. Last year when I began my little talk, I began by giving thanks, as I think that's really an important way to start any gathering, especially one as important as this. As such, I would like to acknowledge the Indigenous lands from where I'm speaking from here in Rce Saskatchewan in Canada. The University of Regina, University of Saskatchewan, and Saskatchewan Polytechnic are three of our higher education partners, and we are situated on the territories of the Nehiyawak, Anishinaabeg, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota, and the homeland of the Métis Mischief Nation. And we are located on Treaties 4 and 6. So together, we pay our respect to the First Nations and ancestors of this place, but also all of the Americas, and respect our relationship with one another. I also want to especially thank a wonderful overview on the Indigenous Peacemaking Initiative yesterday. As RCEs, I think we too play a role in building this long-term peace and healing. I want to also thank the RCEs, the newest ones, RC Peel and RC Greater Phoenix. You're already making great contributions, right? You're already on your way. Boy, if our RC back in 2007 had all the things done that you've already done so soon. So well done. I also need to thank our technological hosts, Rce Salisbury, for this wonderful event, Brittany and Brian. You deserve special thanks, especially for organizing all of the language contributions at this. We've committed to now a multilingual Americas meeting, and you've pulled it off. So well done. I also want to thank Dr. Philip Vaughter and, of course, the Global RCE Service Center and Ministry of Environment in Japan, because, again, where would we be as RCEs with all of their work? And Philip really set that out yesterday. So in a way, I don't have to say much more, just to say, be sure you are entering your projects in the global database and applying for awards, and let's make sure there's a great Americas turnout at the global meeting, at the global conference. Chuck Hopkins is a global advisor. He used to be the Americas advisor, and he really sends along his appreciation and thanks. He couldn't be here at this conference, but I think he's been to every single one. So, he really wanted to be here. And lastly, I would like to thank all of you who've really built our governance structure over this past year. I mean, who would have thought what we put down on paper could turn into all of these wonderful committees and structures? Fantastic. The one thing I do want to say is, in my last couple minutes, is just talk a bit about where we're coming from, because When we think about the mobilization power of the Sustainable Development Goals, we have to keep that front and center. We are on a path, but it took 3 years to design those goals and targets. And it involved over 7 million people from 84 nations. And it was multi-sectoral in a way that almost nothing else is on this planet. And then, in fact, to actually have the government sign on to that. So, is it any wonder that these goals continue to have such a tremendous power and pull to mobilize people and relevance, particularly in a pandemic? Right? They're not something to be set aside. They're even more relevant in a pandemic. So keep them in mind as our ethical framework. In a way, they're a global ethical framework that the people wanted. And as RCEs, we can deliver. The other thing I want to just talk about briefly is as RCEs, we are confronting communities that are increasingly divided and often where there's a bit of a lack of hope that things can get better. And there is a tendency in those circumstances for people to draw back in on themselves, hold tightly onto whatever they've got, whatever assets they have, and use it in the old ways, all right? But I think for sustainable development, it's creating visibility in our communities about the possibilities for abundance over the long term. And if we think how that abundance is produced, it's in part by looking at our traditional assets in new ways, whether it's physical resources, ourselves as people, natural systems, and strategically thinking what new things we can do. And it's RCEs that pioneer what those new things and our partners, what we can do. So in a way, we move from that sort of static category of assets to capabilities to understand the full range and roles of things that we can empower, particularly where we're underutilizing resources or marginalizing peoples that traditionally have been marginalized. I also want to just close by mentioning a theme that has come up a few times. This is my last slide. So, and that is the concept of healing. Healing divisions is crucial at one level to ensure the levels of inclusivity and participation that liberates our capabilities, our creative educational strategies that make use and advance sustainable development. As RCEs, in a way, healing is about wholeness. You've probably heard the notion of a whole institution approach, a whole organization approach. Well, RCEs pioneered by talking about a whole region approach. And when we think of the tremendous possibility there, but I just also want to say, there's also this part of healing about this deep sense of belonging, feeling whole, and it's not something that's grasped in the future. It's something that we should be grasping in every moment when we're working as RCEs. Because sustainable development should not be a burden where we only enjoy things in the future, but it should be a constant, joyful activity that contributes to our well-being in the moment. Because if it doesn't contribute to our well-being in the moment, it never will contribute to our well-being. So as RCEs, we know this because we are a family of RCEs here in the Americas, and at least that we bring spontaneous joy just by being with each other. So what I would say is during the next 2 hours, focus on the presentations, be present and enjoy every single moment that this conference has to offer. And thank you so much for letting me talk today.
Thanks, Roger. That was awesome. So now we're going to be transitioning to hear Oriana, who is our RCE Americas Youth Coordinator. Oriana, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. So let me share my screen, I guess. So share sound. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So hello, bonjour, hola. So my name is Oriana Silva. I'm the youth coordinator for the RCE Americas Network and also for the RCE North Texas. And today I'm going to talk a little bit more about experiences with the RCE Americas Youth Network. So first, the RCE North Texas. So our mission and vision here in the RCE North Texas is to encourage cross-university collaboration, reduce redundancy in sustainability projects across the universities to the best of our ability, connect the students to sustainability opportunities, and connect students to employers who value making our communities more equitable and sustainable. So here you can see the youth network. This was a guide visit that we did to Dallas Arboretum before COVID. However, even though COVID arrived, we get all at home, we developed another project, which is our main project. So let's talk a little bit more about the Sustainable Age Student Journal. So this student-led journal was founded in April 2020 by Dallas College students, and now it's open to all college students around the world that love sustainability and English academic writing. We're based on the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So we write articles at least related with one goal, and then we do peer review process where an advisor, a professional in a specific area, either sustainability or English, revises the articles, and then another peer revises the article just to make sure that everything is prepared to be published. So if you want to join us, please don't hesitate in contacting us through the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and email as well. So now let's meet the Sustainable Agers.
Soy Andrade here. I am from Venezuela and I study in Dallas College for Human Campus.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Manzi. I am a professor of philosophy at Dallas College.
Hello, my name is Oriana Silva. I'm the president and founder of the Sustainable Age Student Journal.
Hi, my name is Brandon Morton, and I'm the Sustainability Coordinator for Operations at Dallas College.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ramsey Cook, and I'm a fourth year studying environmental engineering at Georgia Tech.
Hi, my name is Olivia Brookshire, and I am the secretary for the Sustainable Age Student Journal.
And I am a master's student in the Sustainable Solutions program at Arizona State University.
I'm currently majoring in psychology at the Northlake campus of Dallas College.
Hi, my name is Maria Bocalandro.
I'm Dr. Kendra Unruh, and I'm an English professor at Dallas College Richland campus.
My name is Ferdinando Johnny Castro Gonzalez, and I am an international student from Caracas, Venezuela, currently studying at Dallas College Richland campus.
So the reason I joined the Sustainable Age Journal
because it allows me to research various sustainability matters, so then I can implement better any sustainability program in the community I am planted in.
I have the power to express myself in a lot of topics.
I get to do it with a great group of people who are also passionate about sustainability, so it's a great environment.
There's nothing more inspiring for me than student initiative,
as well as inform me about what is going on in the student life and sustainable outreach around me.
And literally anything is related to sustainability.
We are going to be the ones receiving those consequences of the actions that we are taking today.
I hope you will join the RCE and share your sustainability passions.
Come and join us today.
A great decision that I made to join. So
I invite you to participate.
So we can count with a strong base of students that are going to be supporting the work as much as it is needed. Thank you so much.
Great, so now let's move forward to the RCE Graded Atlanta. So the RCE Graded Atlanta hosts a sustainability mentorship program. What is the Sustainability Mentorship Program? So this program aims to connect the next generation of innovators of sustainability-oriented and trailblazing mentors by facilitating discussions that promote intrapersonal growth and career development, including an introduction into the worldwide RCE network. So how can we get involved in it? So you can scan this QR code, look for any mentor in the mentor book, fill out the form, and respond to the email that you will receive. Also, we have the contact information from the RCE Greater Atlanta Youth Network. Why is this matter? Well, it is helpful for mentees seeking to build a network of professional contacts and just to get a better sense of sustainability-related career options. So we have like more than 30 pairs of mentors and mentees, and they have a student-owned and a student-led. So like students helping other students to get into sustainability, in other words. So now let's move to RCE Salisbury Youth Network. The Youth Network director of this RCE chapter is Nathan Polkhorn. So through the RCE Salisbury, the youth can not only engage in sustainability projects within the RCE network, but fellowships are offered such as the Postman UNESCO Fellowship and the United Nations Millennium Fellowship. So the Millennium Fellowship, what is it? So many of these fellowships are awarded to undergraduate, graduate, postgraduate, and alumni. The United Nations Millennium Fellowship is a highly competitive fellowship of over 20,000 applicants from all over the world, and with an acceptance of rate of about 7%. So Millennium Fellows are university undergraduates select based on their leadership on sustainability development related projects that advance the SDG in their communities. So as Millennium Fellows, they participate in a semester-long leadership development program to improve their building and community impact skills. So now let's move to the Georgetown. So the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals Georgetown Rce Youth Corp. So it's a launch local initiative to better prepare leaders of tomorrow in making smart and sustainable choices for the future. The United Nations Youth Corp program is a high-impact transformative learning program centered on giving students real-life skills and professional experiences surrounding issues on sustainable development in Georgetown County. So the effort supports a scientific research-based perspective while engaging a place for productive dialogue and collaboration on sustainability, enabling a process for incubating student engagement and cultivation of professional talent and encouraging participation and outreach related to sustainability development. So a student will work on a project or internship in the county as designed by county leaders, public and private, for a specific amount of credit that fit within their curriculum. So this will be combined with a class led by a CCU instructor or instructors with a special lectures from county leaders on sustainable development and coastal resilience. So this program is generally funded by the Francis Brunel Foundation in collaboration with Coastal Carolina University. So I hope you have enjoyed my presentation. If you have any questions about any program, please don't hesitate to contact me. This is my email. And well, thank you so much. Muchas gracias. Merci beaucoup. Muito obrigada.
Many thanks, Oriana. Now we're going to be transitioning to our Communications Support Committee with Diego Mara. Elon may be with us, he's traveling. Oriana, sorry, that's one of our interpreters. If anybody wanted to learn Arabic, Elon, myself, and then we have a special guest tonight. Diego and Myra, what would help? Do you want me to pull up our presentation or do you all have it?
It's okay, I can share, or Diego, what do you want, Diego? You are on mute.
I can share if you want.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so we will talk to you about the Communications Committee, and it will be like a lot of people talking. I hope you can understand and follow everything we have done this past few months. And if you have any doubt, please let us know, okay? Okay, I think you can. Yes. Okay, so as Brittany mentioned, we have 5 people right now in the committee, but we are very, very willing for more people. So if you want to join this committee, we are like with our arms open for you. And here we have people from Brazil, Argentina, USA, and we hope we can have more people from the South and Central America. Go for it. Okay, so I think the next slide will be better to talk about this, Diego, if you please. So we have here some responsibilities for the committee that we agreed on the steering committee. The first one is defining, designing and implementing the technical aspect of the digital ecosystem, such as web, social media, and some things like that. After that, building on technical strengths of the individuals RCEs. So the objective here is to have social medias by the RCEs Americas, but where we can put all the information that is happening in the Americas, right? So it's like a focus point, but not keeping aside your social medias, like the RCE social medias, like Cuenca de Plata social medias, Curitiba social media, and so on. And after that, also reporting on technology, indicators, and keeping you informed by everything that is happening, and also informing the service center and the UNU about what's happening here. You can pass, please. So I want Brittany to talk about this slide, please. Brittany, tell us what's our logo context and invite our special guest, please.
Thanks, Myra. I never knew how hard it was going to be to develop an RCE logo. And wow, it took a lot of meetings. And I've learned that the globes in my office are probably not correct. But it's been a really great process getting to know the logo designers and working with them. And we did have a logo contest that we sent out to, we worked very closely with the logo designers at first, everybody that's in the communications committee, pretty much on a bi-weekly basis, sometimes more. And then we sent out an email inviting everybody in our RCE Americas network to look at the logos. And I spoke with the RCE Service Center, and they've gone over some things. And these were our two final logos, basically, from our designers. They have other ones in addition to this one. They have played around with languages, colors representing the SDGs, and a lot more. And we actually have the winning logo designer with us tonight. And I think, James, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here.
Yay! I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this all day.
James, before you start, just say one thing, that well, we sent to all the RCEs these two logos to see each one do you think represent us more. And James, congratulations, your
Thank
logo won. So maybe you can, if you have some time, you can explain to us what you put in this logo and why.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, would you like me to share my screen?
That would be awesome.
Okay.
Let me know if you need help.
Can everybody see my screen right now?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Well, hello, my name is Demetrios James Chaudis, and I'm from the United States of America, and I've been given this exciting opportunity to work and create the RCE Americas Network logo. So first, I'll just talk about the logo in general. The design concept is based on the insight of core principal values and the overall mission of RCE Americas Network. It was also important that this logo made a connection between RCE Americas Network and the United Nations, rather than feel like its own separate entity. Key highlights within the logo include the overall globe and globe arm, which represents community and knowledge, while the olive tree leaves represents peace and friendship. To further help make the connection between RCE Americas Network and the United Nations, I also created a few different versions with different color palettes. So one being using the UN blue, and then another one that focused more on color references to specific SDG goals. So overall, the overall logo represents and highlights innovation, collaboration, education, knowledge, and empowerment.
Thank you very much, James.
Thank you guys for this opportunity.
Thanks, James. It's been awesome working with you.
I agree. It's been great working with you guys.
And we hope you can help us to develop the website and all the things we need to do. It's a long way. So we want you with us, please.
I'll be here.
I don't know if anyone has any doubt to anything to ask to James. No? Okay, James, you stay with us, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if anyone has doubts or something else, please share in the chat box, okay? Thank you so much, James.
Thank you.
Thanks, James. And James, side note, I just found a really cool website and it's called The True Size Of.
Okay.
It's so helpful looking up like the true size of like certain countries.
Okay, I'll have to look into that.
It's awesome.
Diego, can you please share again our presentation?
Yes.
Thanks, Diego.
And if you want, you can talk about this slide.
Okay, then. Myra was, hi everyone, first of all. Myra was sharing the scope of responsibilities the communications committee, support committee has. And one of them has to do, of course, with the digital ecosystem. In that regard, we want to go full scope in the sense that we want to be present in almost every channel. And of course, we've been discussing which ones and the whys and when and how. And part of that process was to define this first set of digital channels for different purposes. Of course, we've been working with Google Workspace, or formerly known as G Suite, for some time now, for the last couple of years. There's still a lot of
لدينا سأقوم بمشاركة
use we can take advantage of. It's a powerful tool, and of course, as you can see, those are the ones we suggest at the beginning to work with during 2021. For the last quarter of the year, we've been already started setting up the accounts, the profiles, etc. And from then on, the idea is from 2022, I mean next year, the idea is to set up everything related to newsletters, the possibility of using tools like SurveyMonkey for research, etc., Twitter, and of course the much anticipated web portal for the Americas. We believe that April is like a good moment to think about an official launching of the site, taking into account that it takes a bit of time and resources to actually have something worth sharing with the world. And of course, Spotify and TikTok as different formats to develop content. here's a bit of a sample of those profiles we've been setting up so far. The LinkedIn page is already up and running. So we invite you and encourage you to follow. There's also Instagram and Facebook. We believe, between today, tomorrow, Friday, others like YouTube will be also up and running. And from then on, the idea to link to content that different RCEs may already have in order to start building the content that we want to share with the world regarding ESD and our work in general.
Diego, yes. Oriana, can you please? No, please pass to the next slide because Oriana can talk about the social media that she already did.
Oh yeah, well, so hi everyone. Yes, we have Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. The Facebook is more a web page. We have also the group, so you can join the group. You have to submit with like a solicitation there. And then for the website, the page is more like a website in Facebook. For YouTube channel, we're going to publish educational videos about the RCE Americas. And for Instagram and Twitter, we will repost and post also about the SDGs and all the activities that RCE Americas host around the continent.
So please, I think Brittany share with all of you in the chat box all those links. So please join us and start to send us your content so we can share with everybody, okay? We will tell you about the workflow in a moment.
Exactly. Well, regarding going back to the portal, it's in the works. We are working on basically on different drafts. For now, we are discussing the architecture, the different sections, the kind of information, the tone, etc., the aesthetics. It will take some time. But the good news is that the Service Center has recently approved the use of the web domain, which is rceamericas.org. It will be hosted at the southern tip of the continent, from Buenos Aires. And it will be an honor working on the portal for us to have our let's say main channel, if you please, to develop content and share with the world the kind of work we do and hope to achieve in or during this decade. And regarding procedures, Maida, perhaps you want to share some light?
Okay, so the idea here is to every RCE tell us the person who will be in charge of the communication strategy or to pass to us the information. So each RCE will pass to the communication committee the information that the RCE want to share, and then we will share in all of our social medias. As we don't have yet anyone who can keep doing this every day, so we'll have a time to do that, like during the first and the third week of each month. We will receive by email, the email is over there, all the information, and we can share this information during the following weeks. but we are trying to see if we can have someone, a youth, an internship, to help us with that, and then we can have more speed in spreading the news. Okay, so and if you have anyone to help us with that, please let us know.
كان بإمكاننا الحصول على شخص.
And yeah, Diego, you went for that one?
Sure. So basically, this is a timeline that we've been adjusting since last year that we started in this governance process. And for the Communications Support Committee, we updated this one. We come from, of course, the beginning of 2021, but lately, during the months of June and July, we started putting together this whole idea of the visual identity pieces and the social media channels, etc. And we're here in October at the Americas meeting. The COP26 is coming soon, and we believe that, as Maida was saying, the idea is for the next couple of months before the end of the year to, get this process rolling of getting in touch with one another in terms of content development or publishing, and build that dynamic. So by the end of the year, sometime before, let's say, Christmas, we can have like a digital launch of the network. And then, of course, carry on working during our summer, your winter up there, and aim at launching the portal sometime late March, early April, ideally. So we will keep in touch, and you will hear about us inviting you to join us in this effort of getting the best communications out there for the world to acknowledge what we're doing.
Thank you. And here is our invitation. So if you like this job, if you want to join us, please come. We need help. And that's it. Oriana, you say so beautifully the end of it, so please do it again.
Okay, d'accord. And gracias, thank you, obrigada, obrigado, merci, anioi, aguish, I don't know what it means, sorry.
Aguije.
Aguije. Okay.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, Oriana. Right now,
thank you, everybody.
We're going to be taking a 5-minute break, so feel free to stretch your legs. We'll be coming back right at 6:45.
سنأخذ استراحة لمدة 5 دقائق ونعود.
And that's some more Arabic. So we'll be coming back at 6:45.
Hey, Brittany.
Yeah.
I really appreciated James' explanation of the logo. It has so much more meaning. It came out great.
James is awesome. I don't know.
Considering just a little bit of tweaks and whatnot. Who are we talking to who looked at the logo and said, I see, do you remember? I don't want to say
Oh, that was Kim and Chris. Yeah. Oh, bro. Yeah. Wonder what they see in the clouds. I'm just kidding. Love Kim. Love you, Kim, if you can hear me.
Oh.
She's not here.
But the colors, I only saw it with like UN blue. And then there's colors. I thought, oh, that's even better. Yeah.
James was very receptive to everything that we sent to him. It was awesome.
Yeah. Well, you know, in just like in architecture, you got to listen to your client, and you got to take a vision and make it reality. Unless, of course, you're dealing. I do a lot of architect engineer disputes. Sometimes these architects, they're designers too. They're visual people, but they can be difficult, and the engineers can be too fact-based. So it's like that. Architects that listen, engineers that listen, create great stuff. I think that's a great logo. I think it came out great.
Awesome.
Yeah, you guys did a great job.
And I met him because his mom purchased a house from one of my cousins. My cousin Molly.
Is he in the region or? Yeah.
He's in our RCE.
Well, I think we should talk to Roger and Philip about the size of our RCE. Oops, I got some people in.
Here comes Pam. There's Roger.
Sorry, what was the question?
Roger, we can ask you this question some other time offline. Britt and I were talking, so that's a Roger question, but we'll save it for later.
Hi, Roger. How are you? Hi,
I'm
Brittany.
doing fine.
Brian. That's good.
Hi, Sabir.
Hi.
I've got my own little timer set on my phone. I'm ready. I was that kid. I was that kid in high school that I always like, if a teacher was like, I need someone to do a timer thing for class, I was always that kid. So I feel very prepared for my own internal clock going on.
For my little sister's swim meets growing up, I would be the timer person. So I get you.
Yes.
Oh, we had a lot of people like come and go tonight. Could be internet too.
This could just be like from my own like mini culture down in rural Georgia. But Wednesdays were always like church night, so people usually couldn't do things. So that could just be like people have things with their kids. But that was always the case for us down south.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Amen.
Oh, they're scary. I miss Georgia.
I miss it too. I've been missing it a lot lately, but I'm not missing the heat. I am very much so enjoying the zero humidity in Virginia.
Yeah.
I think the next time I'm going to go down to Kennesaw will be for graduation. So that's
Yay. It's going to fly by.
Alrighty, it is 6:45, and we're going to start all of our 5 to 7 minute long sessions for the RCE Americas. I'm gonna, since they are such a short time frame, try to stick between the 5 to 7 minute time frame. And if you go over, I might interrupt you just so that we can make sure that everybody gets an equal amount of time to speak and tell us about all of their wonderful programs. So we're gonna start with the RCE Peterborough Kawartha Halliburton. the Monarch Ultra with Carlotta James, the co-founder, and Jacob Rottenberg, the executive director for Camp Kawartha. So if you guys are ready, you can start sharing your screens and I will be quiet.
Well, hello, everyone. So nice to see so many faces from so many different places. Yeah, it'd be nice just to stretch out and reach our hands and touch up, down, all around. I'm going to share my screen and hopefully you'll be able to see that. You just put a thumbs up if you can. All right, good. So I'm talking from an area north of Lake Ontario, RCE, Peterborough, Halliburton, Kawarthas. And because I work with kids, I'm trying to think, how can I foster children to love, respect the earth? There's a quote that I'd like to start off with by Simon Uganda, Kenyan youth worker. He once said, well, instead of asking what kind of world we're leaving for our kids, we should ask, what kind of kids are we leaving for our world? And as a not-for-profit organization, our mission is to foster stewardship, kids who care for the earth. But is that something we can do all on our own? Or is that something that takes a village? And I would argue, yes, it takes a village. And if that's the case, then how can we cultivate a sense of stewardship for every child through each age and stage of their development? So a while ago, we got together with a bunch of community members. We got together with the university, with the college, with about 40 different organizations. We said, how are we going to do this? Well, the first step is we did research on what makes for good environmental education from around the world. The next step is we interviewed people that were activated and motivated environmentalists. And we said, what did you do as a kid? And we stirred all of that up and we came up with a bunch of different important, we felt, steps that people had to go through to become an engaged steward. We also talked to our Indigenous friends who said, we don't much like the word stewardship. To us, it has a connotation of dominion. We prefer the word kinship, which for them means that the living systems we're immersed in are part of our family, that we should have respect for everything. And we love that notion, but the term stewardship is one that's commonly used, so that's why we call it the pathway to stewardship and kinship. For us, we realize there's a lot of people doing environmental education, but they're not always talking to each other. So how can we get everyone together on the same page? Here are just some of the different key concepts that we came up with through our research and through our interviews. Eventually, we came up with the following format. We developed core principles for each age and stage, even little tiny kids just born, toddlers, up to high school students. And from the core principles emerged landmarks, things, experiences we felt every child should have. And then activities that help those landmarks come to life, and then resources. So we came up with 30 of them, all the way from kid is born to high school. And here's just a few examples. So for, I can't see because of my screen, but the grade 5s, every living thing needs energy, including you. Visit 3 places that use alternative forms of energy. You'll note that the landmarks are not complex and they're doable. And we skip to the last part, which is help rehabilitate something that's been damaged for high school students. Explore a local issue. We wanted to have at least 10,000 landmarks over 3 years. We got funding. We, in year 1, achieved 15,000 landmarks. That's people who've reported on doing each of these things. And we linked the landmarks to, of course, the SDGs. I don't know if we have time to watch a quick video, but just to give you a taste of this, see if it works.
Jacob, I think you got really quiet for a second.
Hi, Pathway Explorers. There's a great educator, David Sokol, who does work with children in the outdoors, and he has a quote that says, if we truly want children to flourish, we need to encourage their love for the outdoors before we ask them to save it, which is the whole focus of the Pathways to Stewardship and Kinship project, is laying that foundation for lifelong love and appreciation of the natural world.
One of the easiest things to do is look underneath rocks and logs, or in a tree. Crows are very smart birds.
And a squirrel shouted.
Let's do the leaf activity.
When I scoop to the mud, I lift up from the bottom and I look for little things that are wriggling.
If you have a bit of a budget, it's really worth having a couple of these.
Thank you for the turtle, for keeping our waters clean.
Barb is our classroom at Zero. So each classroom will get a certificate because they're adopting a specific animal.
I always try to connect the head and the heart. The setup is so cool because when we can actually go out and get on the land, we have like such quality family time together, and Kiri always makes connections to what we learn, like for days and days after.
Hi, Pathways Explorers.
Honoring Pathway Explorers, we're here for Landmark 4.
Today, we're going to talk about Landmark 2. One thing that you can do at home is to put up some bird feeders.
Try different tastes, different smells, to encourage kids to notice the need.
I wish I could show you the whole thing, but I only have so much time. Oops. And now I have to figure out how to navigate to the next one. So how much time do I have left, Brittany? 2 minutes?
It's like a minute or two. Yeah. You can also send us the link and I can share your presentation.
Okay. So a couple of other things. Unfortunately, Carlotta is not able to join us because she's on a Monarch run. We do have this wonderful new teacher education workshop we've developed. So one of the things we realize is teachers desperately want to do environmental education, but they don't know how. So we have developed a national...
لدينا ورشة عمل جديدة رائعة لتعليم المعلمين. قمنا بتطويرها.
Student teachers will get a certificate that they can show to their future principal saying, hey, I know about it. And lastly, my great appreciation goes to Carlotta, who is running along with many team members for the monarchs. You might know the monarch butterfly, that gorgeous orange butterfly is struggling. It makes a migration from Canada to Mexico, 4,000 kilometers. So Carlotta got a team together and they're running 1,600 kilometers to raise money so that programs can raise awareness about the plight of monarchs and that kids can plant pollinator gardens. So there they are. They're running as we speak, and we wish them well. May the wind raise their wings and may they fly ever southward. Thanks.
Thanks, Jacob. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was wonderful. Next we have the RCE Rio de Janeiro, preparing teachers for social entrepreneurship. We have Paulo Alcantara Gomez, the academic director for Faculdade Saskatchewan, and Clarice Oliveira de Lima, the academic coordinator for Faculdade Saskatchewan. So I don't know who's going to be sharing the presentation for you two, but feel free to go ahead and start when you're ready.
Hello, can you see and listen to me?
Yes.
Yes,
well,
you're perfect.
My screen as well?
Yes.
All right, let me see if I can. Well, it's okay to stay like this. Well, good night. Good evening, I mean. Here now I'm in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And now it's almost 8 p.m. here. We are just 1 hour ahead of most of you in the room. I'd like to start by thanking Brittany and Brian for inviting us. My colleague, Professor Paulo, is not able to be here with us today, but he has already seen the presentation and we talked a lot about it. So to be brief.
I'm here.
Are you here? Thank God, I haven't seen you. Good. So he's here, just listening to us. And RCE Rio de Janeiro is hosted by the Faculdade Saskatchewan, which is a very young college. This year is our 5th anniversary. And we have 6 courses. And the teacher preparation course, which is the one that I coordinate, is one of them. So today I'm going to share with you a little bit of what we've been doing in this course for teacher training, and this idea of preparing them for social entrepreneurship. Okay, let me, oops, all right. So just a quick background for our country, where unfortunately teacher is not a very well-seen profession. It's very undervalued. The teachers, they don't encourage the students to pursue this career. The salaries are low. They have an overload of work because they have to work in different, sometimes 3 shifts to make ends meet. They have poor job conditions as well. Sometimes they have to work with a few resources or even in some schools located in conflicted areas. To enter in the course, we call it here the pedagogy course, which is the teacher preparation. So the lowest scores in our entrance exam are the ones that are accepted by these pedagogy courses. So for this, you can see also the kind of students that usually come for our programs. And the teacher preparation programs are historically known as being very theoretical, and that they don't really prepare the students for their teaching practice. Whoops. So on this scenario, the teacher preparation course at Faculdade Cés Gran Rio, which could be Cés Gran Rio College as a better translation, it was born with the idea and especially with the goals to prepare teachers based on the competencies for the 21st century. So we are usually doing lots of activities related to these competencies, and this involves social emotional skills, problem solving, collaboration. We work a lot with under this project-based learning approach. We use a lot of active methodologies, including the design thinking approach, flipped classroom, gamification. And also we have this opportunity to kind of bring back to the community what our students are learning and experiencing. So this will be this part of a partnership that we have with the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, which is also founded and based at the college. So I'm going to share with you 3 examples of these projects. One of them that all these projects our students developed. And this one specifically, I translated for bring hope, but actually esperança, is the word in Portuguese for hope, but as it is written there is a verb. So it's also not a really common verb, but it's the idea is this one: to improve self-esteem of artists and members of communities, and then also build a supportive network. So under this project, they will be dealing with extracurricular activities, community outreach, sense of belonging for the community. They do lots of activities, and there are like some pictures of some of them, because what is interesting is that this project has begun in one of the disciplines for the college, and then the student was able to develop and to implement this project in his community, the community he lives. A second one is called Vertical Green, which is a vegetable garden built with recycled material by the students to be used for their school meals. So the idea here is to bring to the school and to the students environmental consciousness, the ideas of sustainability, health and well-being, but also the students in this group developed a business model so that they could take this to other schools and scale the project somewhere. And the third one is because we are always looking for real world situations and problems. The reading room of a public school, the principal of this public school talked to me, and we designed together this project to transform the reading room of this public school. So here you see a picture of the before and after, and our students, they were problem solving. They were running needs assessment situations, and they built questionnaires. They interviewed professors, teachers, the principal, and also students at the school. And they researched, they did a lot of research, including the psychology of colors. So like which color is best for the students to have to concentrate, and this kind of research. And then unfortunately, due to the pandemic, they were not able to go to the school and see how it ended up. But this is the picture. I'm sorry, I think my time is up, but that was all. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, this is my email. You can always email me and we can keep exchanging. Thank you, and sorry for the time.
Thank you so much, Clarice. I'll go ahead and I will throw your email in the chat for whoever wants to grab it.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next up we have RCE Burlington and RCE Puerto Rico joint presentation for food systems and RCEs. We have Walter Pullman, the co-coordinator for RCE Greater Burlington, the senior lecturer, director of ecological planning programs, the Rubenstein School of Environment and Natural Resources in the University of Vermont, as well as Christ Meach, the RCE coordinator in part of the Fundación Amigos de El Unique. So I'm not sure if it's going to be Walter or Christ that are going to be presenting for this one, but whenever either of you are ready, you can go ahead and start sharing your screen.
And I also have their presentation if they want me to pull it up. Oh, cool. Awesome. Thanks, Chris.
Wonderful. Good evening, everybody. I think Chris is going to be advancing the slides for us, and we're going to share the presentation about an exciting a really cross-cultural project that we've been working on that has brought our two RCEs together over the last 18 months. And again, my name is Walter Pullman. I'm at the University of Vermont, and I've been involved with Greater Burlington RCE for the last 5 years, and have really, my favorite part of it is working across cultures and being able to visit and work with different RCEs. And so we want to showcase a program of research that we've been doing together. And so as you can see, the title of the research study that we did really focused on small and medium-sized farms, and the whole idea of cultivating resiliency in the face of all sorts of disturbances, whether they're hurricanes or pandemics. How can we continue to support our farmers and our food systems in ways? And so want to share about that, and then Chris will be, I'll be introducing it, and then Chris will be telling you the details of the study. But if you go to the next slide, Chris, you'll see that this was actually just a joy to do. We did this research during the pandemic itself, and we brought together a group of researchers. We got funding from USDA to really explore this idea of sustainability on small and medium-sized farms. And you can see from the picture here, it's hard to tell where everybody's from, but it's equally split between folks from RCE Puerto Rico and RCE Greater Burlington, particularly involved in food systems research, together with farmers. I think that's the key thing to know. This is a participatory research project where farmers play just a key role in doing the research along with us. And this kind of shows our team here. Again, it brought University of Puerto Rico together with University of Vermont, the Extension Service, farmers, and our partners in Puerto Rico were just a joy to work with. And this is an extension of a longer term exchange between Greater Burlington and Puerto Rico that has developed over the years. Next slide, Chris. Really, the background for the study really has to do with the fact that, well, it was really brought into focus, I have to say, at the first RCE gathering I went to in British Columbia. It was in September, I can't remember the exact year, but it was the year that Hurricane Maria was really battering Puerto Rico right during the meeting that we were happening. And we were thinking about Puerto Rico and the, you know, what was going to happen, you know, to the population centers, the forested communities, and the farms as well. And extreme climatic events such as hurricanes and droughts really brought into focus the idea that our food systems are very vulnerable. And how can we study and look at the resiliency of these farms and food systems? And so we really focused in on that. At the same time, there was a drought hitting Vermont. And of course, everybody worldwide was dealing with the global pandemic. And so what does resiliency look like in small farms? That was really the focus of our study together. And it was a chance to really look across geographies and cultures for common denominators in resiliency, both in the lives of the farmers and the ecological systems that they are a part of.
Great, thanks, Walt. I'm going to pick it up here for a few slides. And with that background, I'll explain that we had a few study questions. And as Walt was saying, we were asking about the resilience capacities of the farmers in terms of, you know, what are those most important capacities related to natural disasters as well as the pandemic? And then how can we measure them? And then how does that translate into resilience over time and ultimately into long-term sustainability for local farm systems? So we developed a conceptual framework that had several different components to it, and I'm just going to mention them here briefly. You don't have time to go into details, but we were drawing on concepts from the field of agroecology, positive deviance. Some of you may be familiar with that, which is really about finding individuals who are championing alternative processes, you know, they're thinking outside the box and moving things forward. And so we specifically had a subjective approach where we went searching for those people who are pushing the limits and trying to move things forward in terms of resiliency and sustainability. And that tied right into our participatory action research approach, where very much there was a co-production of knowledge with farmers from Vermont and Puerto Rico. And so they were serving not as you know, as subjects per se, but rather as co-investigators with us in this process, helping drive the research process. Of course, there was the cross-cultural diversity element of the two geographies and cultures, and then all this set within the framework of the SDGs and trying to link it back to that. And we're going to bring it back to that in a few slides. This workflow that we had was really an iterative process, and this is what it looked like. We had these 4 different phases where it involved identifying the farmers, these positive deviants, and then selecting resilience frameworks based on the literature, and then going through a process of interviewing farmers and getting their feedback on those ideas and really honing what are all these key indicators and metrics that we want to be looking at for resiliency. So a lot of back and forth, all this done remotely through Zoom, but it actually worked out quite well. And then bringing everyone together in the end, this final panel discussion and a closing survey. And all this was happening in both languages. We did in Spanish and English to accommodate the local languages of the people we were working with. Here's the map showing the farms distributed in Puerto Rico and Vermont. And really there was a diversity of crops and products. All of these folks are pretty small holder farms, but certainly farming is important to their livelihood, you know, accounting for at least 50% of their income. And you can see there's a range in terms of the farm sizes and the number of years farming and how many people worked on them. I'll point out family members was really key to a lot of these farms. So in terms of some of the frameworks that came up, when we looked into the literature and then we did interviews with the farmers, we saw there was 4 main categories that really kept popping up. The one on the top right, sustainable farming practices, there's a lot in the literature about this, about building healthy soil, all the sort of tangible things related to natural resources and biodiversity. But three other categories that came out that were really important to the farmers were this growth mindset qualities and strong relationships and all this about the ideas of reciprocity and interaction and how that ties in with sustainable business management. And those topics kept coming up time and again. And so we did then a ranking with the farmers, and what this is showing is that all of these indicators were important to the farmers to one extent or another, but the ones that really bubbled up to the top were it was a mix of both sort of the ecological and the social elements. Building healthy soil was at the top, but then you'll see there numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5 were all things related to more of the relationships and the growth mindset indicators, and that was interesting to us. There were some differences between the two geographies, and you can see that some of the ecological indicators were ranked more strongly by the Puerto Rican farmers versus the Vermont ones. And we attributed this in some of the conversations we had in talking about this. We've gone through some intense natural disasters in recent years with the hurricane and earthquakes and other things, and so that certainly played an important role. But for all of the farmers, really, there was an emphasis on the ecological as well as the social indicators. And we took all this and then put it into a white paper, which was then published through University of Vermont. And there's a link there for which you can access it, and it has the whole process that we went through and all the results. And we also created then a tool, a farm assessment tool, resilience assessment tool that farmers can use to essentially go through and do this ranking process and sort of use a qualitative assessment of these 20 different indicators and come out with a score more or less to see, well, where are you at the moment? And then that can be a jumping off point for them. Well, what do I want to do to improve in terms of making those steps for moving forward? And this is really the first step in what we hope to be a longer research process where we then test this actually and see how it develops. I'll let Walt take it from here.
I'm actually going to have to pause you guys real quick. We're a few minutes over and I want to make sure that we get everybody in, but that was super wonderful. Brittany just linked your guys' presentation in the chat. Again, thank you so much for presenting, but we're going to have to move on to our next group. Next, we have the RCE British Columbia with David Zambli, the professor at Simon Fraser University. He's a director for the Institute for Environmental Learning. So whenever you're ready, David, please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Just as a getting started here, it's really nice to see everyone. Thanks for the shout out for the last presenter talking about RCE British Columbia hosting our RCE meetings in 2017. It seems like such a long time ago. I'm going to try to share my screen here and let me know if that is not working. And let's see. So I'm not going to try to really share anything in depth. This is going to be like just a really quick update and commercial for what RCE British Columbia and North Cascades has been up to in the last little while. I want to acknowledge that I'm reporting from the traditional unceded territory of the Coast Salish people, and for Simon Fraser University, that includes the Tsleil-Waututh and Musqueam and Squamish nations, and I live out in the valley, so that would also include the Stolo First Nation. So I'm a professor at SFU, and actually about a year ago was appointed as a UNESCO chair in biocultural diversity and education. So that's really informing my work, and I'm using that lens to sort of look at all the different things that I've been up to. So can everyone see that screen? Okay, just give me a thumbs up. And so quick little governance update for our RCE. About a year ago, I appointed a co-director, and she is from UBC. She's a professor there. She's also an Indigenous scholar, Métis, actually from Treaty 6 territory in Saskatchewan, which is RCE Saskatchewan would know exactly where that is. She's from originally from Saskatoon area, and she's Métis. And we're working together to really decolonize our governance structure and get much more Indigenous representation. And we've also hosted a bunch of online events where we have featured Indigenous and First Nations speakers. So I think that's really important. It's one thing to sort of like give a land acknowledgement, but it's another thing to actually what we are calling reconciliation, and actually taking action to sort of change the composition of our RCE to be more inclusive for Indigenous groups. So we're having some success, but that's going to be a long pathway to go down. It's really nice to share the role of director as well with someone else. So share the work a little bit. Whoops. So the one thing I wanted to share, of course, we've been doing a lot of online events. So we've had in the last year, probably 20 different virtual seminars that we've been running. First of all, the first one was celebrating 50 years of environmental education at SFU. So we had a series of seminars, about 5 or 6 of them, panels that were basically trying to represent the growth of the field in environmental education in BC over the last 50 plus years. So we kicked it off with my mentor, Milton McLaren, who started the program at SFU in 1971. And you might think, wow, he's an old guy, but he actually still teaches in my master's program, and he's very sharp and an awesome mentor to have around. So we had a bunch of events related to that and some visioning towards the future. Then over the summer, I did a virtual field school with my UNESCO co-chair, who is an Indonesian scholar, and we used this theme of biocultural diversity as a way to frame how education may need to look in the future. And we had, again, about a dozen different lectures related to those. They ran every day on Thursdays. This is an example one. We had one of our Haida scholars and very famous Nancy Turner sharing about Haida law and conservation practices, but we had from the Amazon and 6 different lecturers from Indonesia as well. We even got Baruti Galdakos, who is the lady who is one of Leakey's 3 women. Everyone knows about Diane Fossey and Jane Goodall, but the 3rd woman is Baruti Galdakos, and she studies orangutans in Borneo and has been doing that for 50 years. That study is continuing still, and we had her as one of our speakers. So, you know, carrying on in the virtual world as we are still today, but we played around with some ideas where we had some face-to-face as well with the blended kind of model. What else to share? This I'm very excited about. So in 2007, members of our RCE, actually, it was actually one of the founding things that created our RCE, was we were involved in the publication of a document called Environmental Learning and Experience. And the Ministry of Education published it on behalf of our group in 2007. And we've been fighting about trying to get it reignited and republished, and sort of, you know, a 2.0 version of this document with some updated language. And I'm really happy to report we now have a contract with the Ministry of Education and the Climate Action Secretariat, and the Canadian Commission for UNESCO is also providing support. and we are going to republish this document within the year. And we're going to update it with Indigenous knowledge and pedagogies, more information about climate action, and hopefully have a whole series of curriculum mapping and teacher professional development throughout the province related to this. Of course, key to that will also be the 17 Sustainable Development Goals and making sure that those are widely referenced in our new document. So this document, when it first came out, was the most downloaded document on the Ministry of Education website, and it died a very slow death in terms of how curriculum works, but we're very excited that this is going forward and hopefully a publication date by next spring. Hey, Brittany, I didn't have this slide for you, so I may want to send you this because I actually have so much going on I forgot.
It's okay. It's no rush. Just when you get a chance. Thanks.
So I know that some of you may know that RCE British Columbia sponsors an international journal called Eco Thinking. And actually some of our members, I'm thinking actually our advisor, our Americas advisor has published in that journal. We actually are relaunching that journal. We have a new publisher relationship, DO Press. It's out of New York City. Personal friend of mine started up this company, and they are providing a lot of in-kind support. I have 2 new co-editors. And if you go to that website, you will see that there will be this new journal, International Journal of Informal Science and Environmental Learning. It's still Eco Thinking, but it's renamed with some broader editorial support, and it's still been officially sanctioned by the RCE network. So very excited. We have 5 or 6 new articles posted there, and we hope that we'll be publishing twice a year with that journal. So, to all of you out there, if you're thinking about, getting your work and sharing it in a more formal place, this is an open access journal with no costs to publish. So we've it's still peer reviewed and so on, but and this is a project of RCE British Columbia, and we would be very supportive and receptive to getting proposals and submissions from the RCE community.
Thanks, David. We actually have to get moving.
Yeah, so that's it for me. I put my email there, and if you have any questions about any of those, feel free to contact me. I'll just say, if I'm not present a little bit later, it's because I'm actually 2 places at one time this week. I'm at the North American Association for Environmental Education, and I'm at this RCE meeting. So, hey, during COVID, we can do that. We can be 2 places at one time. So that's one valuable experience I'm having. Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Thank you. Next, we have 2 different presentations from RCE Georgetown, and we're going to start off with the Solar Ambassador Project, Making Brighter Futures for All, and that's with Pamela Martin, Michael Lowry, and Hannah Bennett. And whoever is going to start sharing that, you're more than welcome to. And a friendly reminder to try to keep our presentations between 5 to 7 minutes because we still have so many wonderful presentations we want to get through for the rest of the night.
Thank you so much, Grayson, and thank you, Brittany and Brian, everyone at RCE Salisbury, Roger and Philip and everyone at RCE. And it's nice to see so many friends. Que gusto de verles a todos. And my name is Pam Martin. I'm from RCE Georgetown in South Carolina in the United States. I'm really delighted to be able to present to you a project that we've been working on and been improving over the years, and certainly has improved since we formed the RCE and started it in 2017. This is the Solar Ambassador team at Coastal Carolina University. We are sponsored by a solar seed fund in California called Revolve. And if you're interested, it's RE-VOLV.org. And I are our lead solar ambassador, Hannah Bennett, and our assistant lead solar ambassador, Mike Lowry, to talk about Goal 7, clean and affordable energy, and how in South Carolina, quite despite the fact that we don't have the renewable energy and solar policies that some of you have in other places, we are making a difference in renewable energy one roof at a time. Hannah, Mike, go ahead.
Hi guys, I'm Hannah and I'm a senior at Coastal Carolina University and I'm the lead solar ambassador. We are college students who work directly with Revolve, which is a nonprofit organization based in San Francisco, California. This is a fellowship program that allows for us to learn about solar energy, get involved with renewable energy, and help nonprofits in our local community to do the same thing. Revolve envisions a world where people are thriving in their clean energy powered communities. Their mission is to provide the affordable opportunity for other nonprofit organizations to switch to solar and save on their electricity bills, which they can then use to continue to give back to their communities. Nonprofits who decide to go solar through Revolve sign a lease agreement in which over the course of 20 years, they typically only end up paying for half of the solar system costs, yet they own it outright after the end of the 20-year lease.
All right. Hi, I'm Mike. Can everyone hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Revolve is able to fund the rest of the total cost of the solar system installation and maintenance through crowdfunding and the Revolve Solar Seed Fund. And there's a little display of it there. Go ahead, Hannah. Our involvement, Revolve works with numerous solar ambassador teams, various universities across the country. We bring solar opportunities to other nonprofits throughout the country. As solar ambassadors, we connect with organizations in our own community and present solar opportunities to them through Revolve. We also host and participate in events to help educate the community about solar education and solar energy. Our past projects include 2 VFWs. We have one in Little River, South Carolina, and the other in Murrells Inlet. Both were able to offset their energy costs enough to cover the lease payment and still save money with no upfront cost to them. Our current project is in Plantersville, the Plantersville Cultural Center. And if you know anything about South Carolina, you might ask, why Plantersville? Plantersville is a small little community on the west side of Georgetown County. But the Plantersville Cultural Center in Georgetown helps bridge the gap between youth and their families towards education, college, the career readiness to make positive changes in the lives and development, for a sense of urgency, identity, self-value, resulting in a resilient and sustainable community. Every opportunity we take to expand the mind of children, especially in marginalized community, is an opportunity to ensure a better future for all children. The money saved by this project will save this one nonprofit thousands of dollars a year to reinvest into their community. And that's us. Any questions?
Thanks so much, Mike and Hannah. That we are really fortunate to be sponsored by Revolve in San Francisco. And just to let you know that we educate the students as well in the Solar Ambassador Program to become certified in, it's called NABCEP certification here in the United States, which is a professional certification for solar energy. So we educate students at the college level, we bridge community education on renewable energy, and we work with young people to encourage them for careers in STEM while saving nonprofits money. Here in South Carolina and in the United States, there is no way for nonprofits to be able to fund solar projects because they are a nonprofit, they cannot benefit from tax incentives. So this program is really one of the only financial tools and mechanisms for nonprofits that serve their community to be able to pay for renewable energy. And we're proud to be able to do that in South Carolina. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. That was so wonderful. The next group that we have from RCE Georgetown is going to be the Examining a Network of Food Resources to Address Food Insecurity. And that's going to be with Anthony Satari and Michelle Zarenda. So whoever's ready to start their presentation is more than welcome to do so.
Great. Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for having us tonight. It's great to be able to talk about the work that we're doing here in Georgetown. To share my screen so that you can see my presentation, and that's my email, not what I wanted. And let's go to. So we were approached by a local food bank who was interested in learning more about where are we not having coverage with regards to food resources. We know that the community has a real need for food resources. It's a very food insecure area. There's not a lot of grocery stores, particularly as you go further out into the county and deeper into the county. And they were really interested in finding ways that they can expand the amount of food they're providing. They wanted to open up potentially a new site, find new drop sites, new locations where they can expand their influence. And they approached us with identifying where they could do that. And they basically said, where are the gaps? We work with them to identify, SDG 2 is obviously the Zero Hunger SDG. That's the most relevant one. And we decided, all right, there's a few ways we can approach this. First thing we were going to do is we're going to build you a dashboard. And this dashboard is actually going to map out the food resources in the community. We're going to find out where the pantries are located. We're going to find out where the funders are located. When we talk about gaps in a very physical type of way, like where are we just not having locations? Where are the community gardens? Where are the individuals who will once a week come out and get food and bring it back to their community? So let's actually map that out. I'm going to show you that in just a moment. We're also working to survey the local food resource users to identify what gaps they're seeing. Are they satisfied with what they're taking in, with what they're being provided, with the general access that they have? And beyond that, we're developing a general executive report to kind of support making some recommendations going forth. And we'll actually talk a little bit about where that's heading right now, where that's shaping. I'm actually going to turn it over now to Michelle Zarenda, who has been wonderful in her data collection components. I think it's really informative that she provides you all with a bit of an insight into what goes into the data collection side of a project like this. So Michelle, if you could take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Satari. So there were many complexities to this data collection, and there were a lot of challenges and barriers that I found throughout it. And I would say the first being that if you're not aware, Georgetown County is a more rural area. And so there were barriers just figuring out which organizations had and provided different food pantries or food delivery services in general. And most of the time, this was from word of mouth within the community and not something that is published or online that you can go ahead and is accessible to the public. And so that was the first issue. And the second one we found was trying to figure out the contact information for these organizations or churches that set up these food pantries and for the residents. And so many of the phone numbers and emails were not available and difficult to find. And the third was a lot of the organizations we did talk to, many of them did not have background in collecting or keeping track of data. And so there was a gap and not accurate information just with supply and demand with food and the needs of the residents in our area. And so that being said, in the end, after a lot of hard work and phone calls, we did come up with a significant amount of information. And I'll let Dr. Satari explain to you further about our research next steps. Sure. And Michelle has made well over 100 phone calls to community resources to learn where things are located. It's just not as easy as it may seem. A lot of disconnected numbers, a lot of bad emails and whatnot. But here's where we are right now in terms of our dashboard. So this is kind of like the big exciting thing that we're working on. This dashboard is really meant to serve two purposes. One, it's meant to actually help users locate food resources in the community. Like that's a fantastic outcome for a project like this because it literally becomes a community artifact that we can distribute and share
and I'll show you how it works in just a minute. The other thing is it helps our stakeholders decide where they want to put their time. I mean, we visually mapped it out, so you can see there's really nothing up in this community in terms of drop sites or pantries. So there's a very obvious need up here. But beyond that, when you actually dig into it, you start to realize that there's not as much as it might seem, although there does appear to be rather a bit more coverage than might be anticipated. So from here, we can narrow it down to what we might be looking for. We can find funders, who's providing meals, who's doing food pantries, who's doing food boxes. But let's imagine you're someone who's looking for materials. And I happen to have Tuesday afternoon off. That's when I'm going to go try to find something, a food pantry. So by selecting Tuesday, we now see, okay, well, our choices become significantly more limited, but I only have time off in the afternoon. And now there's only one place within the Georgetown region that I can access food. That would be St. Cyprian's Catholic Church. So if I live anywhere over here or anywhere over here, getting down here might be a bit of a struggle and a challenge. So this kind of allows the community to actually see not only is there are resources, but actually accessing them becomes a real problem. But it does allow the actual user to determine what are they looking for at what time and kind of dig a little bit more into it. And then that's kind of a little bit of an exciting outcome. Go back to the presentation. So what are kind of the key findings that we're seeing right now? Kind of the big things that we're seeing right now, the community has really developed an informal network of supports, which is kind of exciting to see that so much of the community has picked it up. The challenge, though, is because so much of it relies on volunteers who are not trained in this type of work, we do have bad phone numbers. And if you're looking for resources, you might not be able to find any. Things are only open every other Tuesday from 2 to 3. And if you happen to work during those hours, you might not be able to access that. There's a general lack of communication, a general lack of clarity of resources that are available, which kind of goes to show you that this isn't really, might not necessarily be the challenge you'd think there is. There are organizations out there. There are opportunities, and that's kind of leads us into this next point. The big next step, the big next phase for us is to really push for what we call a collective impact initiative. We see that 2 of the organizations in the community, 2 of the food banks really do have a huge footprint throughout the county. We're going to start partnering with one of them to develop a collective impact initiative that works with the rest of the community to start to formalize some of these processes, to kind of address that if you're someone who works during standard hours, there's no means of accessing food resources, and working to encourage them to collect data, to support them that initiative, but really allow them to lead that work, and kind of see that as much as there is a need for food, there is really a great need for communication and addressing and adapting to work, enhancing the supports that we already have through communication, more hours, and kind of addressing what those current needs exist are. So we're excited to see this continue. And that's all I have. Thank you all.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you so much, Anthony and Michelle. That was wonderful. Up next, we have 2 different presentations from RCE Lima. The first, we have an essay contest, the 7 knowledges of education for the future and intercultural knowledge in times of COVID-19. And we have Teresa Salinas, Magale Tejeda, and Javier Carvajal, and they are going to be presenting for us today. So whenever you guys are ready, you're more than welcome to start.
Good night, dear friends. It is nice to see you all well. Voy a exponerles en español. El RCE Lima Callao se complace en estar en esta reunión y voy a contarles algo de lo que estamos trabajando. Este año hemos tratado de desarrollar en el marco de la universidad y el trabajo que realizamos con el Ministerio del Ambiente, la implementación de la dimensión ambiental en las universidades y nosotros en la Universidad Ricardo Palma hemos trabajado un plan ambiental bastante interesante, donde religamos las dimensiones de gobierno, de gestión ambiental, de investigación, de proyección social, desde indicadores que contribuyan a la formación integral en la educación para el desarrollo sostenible. Uno de los temas que nosotros venimos trabajando con los estudiantes, puedes avanzar la. Uno de los temas fundamentales es lo que venimos viviendo, ¿no? En todo este periodo de la pandemia tan duramente, cuánto sufrimiento hay en la humanidad, cuánto dolor ha significado todo este proceso. Y nosotros creemos que es muy importante y tratamos de hacer un trabajo sostenido con los estudiantes, tanto de la universidad como escolares y de otras organizaciones, sobre cómo pensamos el mundo. Creemos que hay un tema central, fundamental, ¿no?, en la formación de la conciencia para la sostenibilidad. Y la formación de la conciencia pasa necesariamente por la elaboración y la toma de conciencia, ¿no?, de cómo es que nosotros pensamos el mundo. Creemos que la separación de las prácticas, ¿no?, y la educación, la vida y la educación, ha sido uno de los problemas centrales. Por eso que en el siglo XXI una de las tareas centrales es unir, ¿no?, las prácticas de vida con la educación. Nosotros en el RCE Lima Callao, uno de los temas que trabajamos bastante es el conocimiento intercultural, la recuperación de los saberes interculturales y su promoción en los marcos universitarios, en los marcos de la educación, tanto formal como la informal. UNESCO en el siglo XX, a fines del siglo XX, promocionó un libro, ¿no?, como un mensaje de la generación del siglo XX hacia la generación del siglo XXI, que eran los 7 saberes de la educación del futuro, y que nosotros hemos considerado como un marco epistémico, valorativo, ¿no?, para generar esa conciencia ambiental. Y estos saberes los trabajamos con los estudiantes a través del curso de comunicación en nuestra universidad y a través de un concurso amplio que convocamos a la comunidad en Lima. Uno de los saberes justo es la ceguera del conocimiento, buscar el conocimiento pertinente, enseñar la comprensión, ¿no?, muchas veces la subjetividad, la forma en que nosotros pensamos o pensamos a los otros nos crea conflicto. La forma en que nosotros entendemos, por ejemplo, nuestra relación con la naturaleza, hace que esa relación no sea sostenible, ¿no?, sino sea de depredación. La ética con el género humano, la identidad con la tierra, viendo la tierra como nuestra gran patria, enseñar la condición humana, ¿no?, enseñar cómo nosotros, cuáles son esos fundamentos que nos determinan nuestra propia condición humana y enfrentar las incertidumbres, tal como las que hemos vivido este año. Junto a estos saberes, digamos, que son promocionados por UNESCO y que vienen, digamos, de la modernidad, también nosotros hemos trabajado los saberes interculturales que vienen de los conocimientos ancestrales, que vienen de la cultura inca y pre-inca, ¿no?, como son Amazúa en quechua, ¿no?, que significa no seas ladrón, Amayuya en quechua, que significa no sea mentiroso, y Amaqueya, que significa no sea flojo, es decir, hay que trabajar, ¿no? Estos son los principios morales con los cuales la civilización inca pudo construir su forma de conocimiento. Y también la vida comunitaria, ¿no? La vida comunitaria tan importante, al menos en esos periodos de incertidumbre por la pandemia que hemos vivido, se revaloró mucho el tema de la vida comunitaria. El AINI, que es la reciprocidad, la solidaridad y la ayuda mutua, ¿no? En quechua, churay, sonjo y choba choba, que significa la ayuda mutua. Estos conocimientos nosotros hemos tratado también de poner en debate con los jóvenes estudiantes a través de este concurso que convocamos anualmente, los 7 saberes de la educación del futuro, y ahora hemos incluido y los saberes interculturales. También nosotros trabajamos el conocimiento tradicional, la biodiversidad y la nutrición en comunidades indígenas. Estos temas, digamos, son unos de los aspectos centrales que vamos manejando año a año en el RC y lo vamos recreando con diferentes temáticas. También en el marco del RC nosotros mantenemos las campañas por el ahorro de energía, ¿no? El uso adecuado de los recursos. Este es, digamos, uno de los aspectos del concurso que realizamos. El encuentro de jóvenes por la vida, que también lo hacemos anual. Este año, bueno, en estos años son virtuales, antes los hacíamos presenciales con mucha movilización de jóvenes. Las conferencias que las estamos haciendo ahora virtuales también. Todo enmarcado en los objetivos del desarrollo sostenible y la Agenda Educación 2030. Tenemos los diálogos por la vida, los concursos de infografías, de historietas con los estudiantes. Por ejemplo, esta es una de las historietas que los estudiantes han estado tratando de desarrollar, intercambian, ¿no? Y nosotros después se las enviamos a profesores de colegios, a comunidades de colegios, para que ellos puedan enriquecer su trabajo con los niños, con los jóvenes. También hemos realizado una jornada de movilidad sostenible, ¿no? Para evitar que el transporte, que es tan complicado en mi país, sea el foco principal de contagio del COVID, ¿no? Hemos hecho en varias zonas de Lima campañas para que haya tome conciencia de la movilidad sostenible como una de las estrategias para frenar los contagios. Bueno, estas son las cosas que venimos trabajando en el RCI y algunos proyectos de investigación que desarrollamos, y voy a presentarles a Magali, quien les va a contar lo que estamos haciendo ahora. Nosotros hemos avanzado en muchos temas sobre conocimiento tradicional y ahora queremos trabajar vinculando esto a las estrategias del cambio climático. Sabemos que es uno de los problemas grandes que vamos a enfrentar y quisiéramos, bueno, compartir con ustedes este proyecto que está gestándose y esperamos llegue a buen puerto. Muchísimas gracias.
Gracias, Teresa.
Un abrazo para todos.
Thank you so much. Are you going to be doing the next presentation, or is that going to be Magali and Javier?
Hello, good night. I'm Magali. Can you see the next presentation? Or?
Not yet.
Okay. Now.
Yes, we can see it. Yay.
Okay. Well, as Teresa said, we are working in a new project that is to implement or to create strategies to mitigate the effects of climate change. And we want to focus first in the impact in food security. Okay, so Peru is one of the most vulnerable countries in the world to climate change. We have 71% of the Peruvian population is located in areas that are exposed to high danger. And we have also several biodiversity that we need to protect. No? And more than 15,000 hectares are lost in each agricultural season associated with climatic events. And we want to approach this to understand the complex dynamics of climate change and its impact on food security and nutrition in Peru. No, so we need to adapt to climate change, and we contribute to mitigation without compromising the food and nutritional security of the population, and in this way contribute to the sustainable development. So the objectives of this project is to propose adaptation and mitigation strategies for the impact of climate change on food security from the approach of complex dynamic systems. We want to develop an innovative approach to intercultural education for the care and appreciation of biological and cultural diversity. And first, we want to work with a community of Quechua Lamas that is in the San Martin region in Peru. And we want to, as Teresa said, it's important for us to the intercultural to promote intercultural knowledge. No? So we want to promote a transdisciplinary dialogue of knowledge about climate change and food with a focus on nutrition from the rural and urban perspective. No? So we want to bring together several areas of knowledge about nutrition, biodiversity, conservation practices, and cultural diversity and food practices. So we want to, another objective is to revalue traditional knowledge by identifying good practices relevant to the breeding of biodiversity and good food practices in relation to health, nutrition, and sustainable development in an ecoregion. In the case of the area inhabited by the Quechua Lamas communities of San Martin. Now, so we want to work with this community first, and then increase our scope of work. Now, we want to also promote food education based on native products education in traditional communities. So the organizations that are contributing to this project are the Ricardo Palma University, the indigenous community of Quechua Lamas, the Murillo in San Martin, also the Environmental Net of Peru, the Center for the Biodiversity and Spirituality in the Andean Amazonian, Huamanhuasi, also in San Martin, organizations of civil society in San Martin, the RCE, no, the research center in Ricardo Palma University, within the framework of multi-inter and transdisciplinary work, and also students, no, teams from the Faculty of Engineering, Biology, and the Climate Change Program of the university. So San Martin, that is in the Peruvian Amazon, it only represents almost 7% of the Amazon territory, but it's the most densely populated region in the Amazon. No, more than 800,000 indigenous and non-indigenous people live there, who comprise 30% of the total Amazonian population. This reality, caused largely by the Andean immigration, puts pressure on nature to the extent that some regions, such as the Alto Mayo, are among the most degraded in the country. Now, so we have both a high rate of deforestation and also a high rate of migration of the population. And there are 3 ethnic groups in San Martin that are Awajún, Quechua Lamas, and Chayahuitas. So the activities that we are doing in the project are to systematize the information on the impact of climate change on food security, identify the initiatives that are being carried out to mitigate the effects of climate change on food security, promote a transdisciplinary dialogue of knowledge about food security and climate change, and then propose strategies for adaptation to climate change to mitigate its effects on food security and nutrition in Peru. Now, we plan to have at least 2 workshops with the community and perform a survey of good practices of indigenous communities. And at the end of the project, we will have a publication. Well, this is an ongoing project.
Thank you so much. We're actually out of time for your presentation, but we can hang around at the end to have any questions or to close anything up. But we're going to have to go on to RCE Puerto Rico, starting with the Sustainability Merit Badge for Scouts with Coral Aviles Santiago. So whenever you're ready, please feel free to start sharing.
Okay, thank you.
Hi everyone, good night from Puerto Rico. Mi nombre es Cristina Ramírez Colón, no soy Coral Aviles, pero es mi compañera y voy a estar presentando la noche de hoy. Rapidito por aquí. ¿Ven la presentación? You see the presentation? Yes. Okay. Muy buenas noches a todos, saludos desde Puerto Rico, mi nombre es Cristina Ramírez Colón, soy parte del equipo del estuario de la Bahía de San Juan junto a mis colegas Coral Avilés, que se excusa en la noche de hoy, y Eliezer Nieve, que está en el público. Voy a estar hablando sobre esta presentación, este esfuerzo que hemos hecho desde el estuario con la comunidad de Scout, promoviendo la educación para el desarrollo sostenible en Puerto Rico a través de la insignia de mérito de sustentabilidad para los Scouts. ¿Verdad? Primeramente también agradecerles a todos ustedes por la participación, nuestra primera vez como organización a través del RCE Puerto Rico. También saludar a Chris, que sé que está también tras bastidores y presentó anteriormente. Nosotros como organización somos parte del programa de estuarios nacionales de Estados Unidos, el único que está fuera de Estados Unidos continental y subtropical. Nuestra cuenca hidrográfica cubre unos 8 municipios, 97 millas cuadradas en el área metropolitana de Puerto Rico. Y nuestra misión es restaurar y conservar la calidad de las aguas del ecosistema del estuario como eje sostenible de desarrollo social y económico. Nuestras áreas programáticas que incluyen la calidad del agua, incluye, por otro lado, uno de nuestros pilares es la educación y la participación ciudadana. Y desde el estuario, junto a lo que hemos trabajado con RCE Puerto Rico, es la integración de los objetivos de desarrollo sostenible en nuestra, ¿verdad? Como pilar, ¿verdad? O como marco de nuestra educación. Así que estuvimos durante el mes de noviembre del 2020, llevando a cabo este primer insignia de mérito dedicada a la sustentabilidad y con ello, ¿verdad? Ciertos talleres que estuvimos ofreciendo al público. Dentro de los diferentes requisitos es que estuvimos llevando a cabo con los chicos, o mejor dicho, con los participantes de la comunidad de Scout, estuvimos enfocándonos en 2 talleres los sábados consecutivos, el sábado 7 y el sábado 14 de noviembre del 2020 a través de los talleres virtuales, ¿verdad? Debido a la pandemia. Dentro de nuestro requisitos como tales tuvieron participar de las reuniones de los talleres, hacer las tareas asignadas y documentar todo el proceso. A su vez también uno de los requisitos fue coordinar reuniones familiares entre sus grupos familiares, ¿verdad? Entre sus familias, desarrollar e implementar planes familiares y entonces por último una discusión o diálogo con el consejero que podía ser pues tanto del programa del estuario de la Bahía de San Juan como su líder de unidad. Entre los temas que nosotros estuvimos trabajando, ¿verdad? Que están dentro de esa insignia de mérito es agua, alimento, comunidad, energía y cosa, o stuff, como aparece, ¿verdad? En inglés. Y nosotros lo que hicimos fue alinearlo a los 16 objetivos, ¿verdad? O a algunos objetivos de desarrollo sostenible. Así que el que estuvo, ¿verdad? El tema de agua, que nos llevó otro de nuestros compañeros, Harold Manrique, se enfocó en alinearlo al ODS número 6 de agua limpia y saneamiento. En el caso de los alimentos, en el ODS número 3 de salud y bienestar. En el caso de las comunidades, en comunidades y ciudades sostenibles. En el caso del tema de energía, pues el ODS número 7 de energía asequible y no contaminante. Cocción y consumo responsable. Nosotros tuvimos un total de 69 participantes a través de pues, plataformas virtuales que se dio. Y es interesante ya que estuvimos incorporando, ¿verdad? Por primera vez incorporamos a nuestro currículo educativo estas insignias de mérito que en el estuario hemos tenido tanto de aves como de oceanografía, como de sustentabilidad, que fue el que acabo de presentar. Así que son temas interesantes que se incluyen dentro de lo que es nuestro programa educativo, dentro de nuestra misión como organización. Y a su vez esta insignia de mérito, especialmente de sustentabilidad, es requisito para Escucha Águila. Así que, ¿verdad? Es parte de esos requisitos que ellos buscan tener y cualificar para poder culminar su insignia, ¿verdad? O su Escucha Águila. Para nosotros ha sido, ¿verdad? Una oportunidad magnífica el poder utilizar o ser parte de este RCE Las Américas, primero de Puerto Rico y luego RCE Las Américas, y poder presentarles a ustedes ¿verdad? Estos esfuerzos que desde el estuario nos enfocamos. Así que nos gustaría continuar estos esfuerzos y seguir promoviendo estos objetivos de desarrollo sostenible para incluirnos en nuestros programas educativos y en los programas que tiene y desarrollamos desde el estuario. Es importante también resaltar que muchos de estas insignias de mérito nos los han solicitado, ¿verdad? Y está en nuestros planes continuar ofreciéndolas de una manera un poco menos remota, sino nos encantaría poder ir ya un poco más al público y poder llevar a cabo estas insignias de mérito con los equipos en lugar, ¿verdad? Con la comunidad Scout en lugares en particulares dentro de los centros resilientes o nuestra comunidad y cuenca estuarina. Así que para dudas, preguntas, esto es todo por nuestra parte. Pueden comunicarse y seguirnos a través de nuestras redes sociales y también en nuestra plataforma o nuestra página web de estuario.org. Así que muchísimas gracias. Siéntanse en la confianza.
Gracias, Cristina.
Thank you. That was so wonderful.
Yeah. Can I add one thing real quick?
Yeah.
Christine, I am a sustainability merit badge counselor too. So
Brian, what?
Yeah, I'm a merit badge counselor for like 30. I'm doing a run next week on cycling, but I'm listening to this. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I need to show this to the guys. We have got boys and girls. But I can dig that. I really like that a lot. Great work.
Thank you.
And I think that Santiago is ahead of me and is already set up. So when you're ready to go, please go for it.
Muchas gracias. Buenas noches a todos. Primero, muchas gracias por su asistencia y por su continuo interés en proyectos mutuamente beneficiosos para el medio ambiente. Les Quiero comentar un poco del proyecto Génesis, que se ha gestado gracias al apoyo de la Universidad del Sagrado Corazón, el Commission for Environmental Cooperation y el RCE Puerto Rico, donde estamos convencidos de que pequeños detalles hacen grandes cambios. Así que mucho gusto, yo soy Santiago Ramírez Ávila, yo hago parte del RCE Puerto Rico y he estado implementando el proyecto Génesis junto con un grupo de aproximadamente 20 estudiantes de Puerto Rico, México y Colombia en la Universidad del Sagrado Corazón en Puerto Rico. Para empezar, Génesis es un proyecto pionero creado por un grupo de 2 estudiantes con el propósito de impulsar una cultura de solidaridad y sostenibilidad en las instituciones educativas, promoviendo hábitos de consumo sostenibles mediante la implementación de 3 pilares: la educación, la tecnología y el arte. Y esto alinea a la visión en el 2025 construir una red de artistas, empresas, instituciones educativas y líderes que están trabajando colaborativamente para promover estos principios y valores de sostenibilidad entre el ecosistema estudiantil. El proyecto Génesis empezó el 2 de diciembre del 2020 y desde sus inicios hasta hoy consta con 3 pilares y un equipo multidisciplinario de 12 estudiantes de Latinoamérica, como les dije, de Puerto Rico, México y Colombia, que han estado trabajando colaborativamente y remotamente en este proyecto. Entonces voy a estar explicándoles cada uno de los pilares. El primer pilar es el componente educativo, que es liderado por Coral Loreña y Paola Orozco, Lisandra Vélez y Coral Cintrón, y su objetivo es generar herramientas que promuevan la sensibilización y la concientización ambiental a todo el personal estudiantil, docente y colaborador del campus universitario a través de medidas de regulación de recursos naturales y minimización de impactos ambientales. En este componente se logró levantar data inexistente en Sagrada sobre un diagnóstico ambiental con una investigación de conducta del consumidor y de caracterización de residuos sólidos en Sagrado, lo que a su vez logró levantar una data sobre cuál era el impacto ambiental que estaba teniendo Sagrado mensualmente con sus residuos sólidos. Gracias a esta información logramos realizar la formulación de planes y campañas, desarrollando 4 talleres en colaboración con activos ambientales acá en Puerto Rico, como la Historia de la Bahía, que está por acá presente también, y vinculando lenguaje de señas para poder tener accesibilidad a estos talleres. Contamos con una participación de 55 participantes y nos permitió también levantar una data de cómo había sido el indicador de capacitación de estos talleres generados. Del mismo modo, durante el proceso de prototipado se lograron levantar patrones de capacitación en el ecosistema estudiantil entre los docentes y los profesores, y la cantidad de generación de residuos sólidos que estaba siendo generada por la universidad y cuánto de esos residuos sólidos estaban siendo aprovechados y se componían mayormente de árbol. Con el fin de poder crear una sinergia entre el ecosistema estudiantil y el medio ambiente, se crearon diferentes talleres de sus áreas de voluntariado en colaboración con otras empresas para que entonces los estudiantes pudieran ir exhibiéndose a más iniciativas ambientales que estaban ocurriendo actualmente en la isla. En el componente tecnológico tuvimos como líderes a estudiantes de Ingeniería Mecánica, Multimedia, Ambiental y Eléctrica de la UPR Mayagüez y de la Universidad Autónoma de Occidente en Colombia. Y este componente consta de 3 pilares: Arbot, el webpage y una plataforma digital. El Arbot fue creado gracias al apoyo de Newpi Sagrado y su función es recolectar y contabilizar las botellas de agua al mismo tiempo que contabiliza a sus usuarios mediante un código de UPC. Y forma empodera a los usuarios que están reciclando para promover progresivamente hábitos de consumo sostenibles. Cada Gcoin puede ser donado y utilizado por diferentes tipos de beneficios socioambientales. Durante la fase inicial se lograron reciclar aproximadamente 1032 botellas de agua durante la fase de prototipado. Aquí tienen un poco del sketch de lo que es la página web, que sirve como base de datos de operaciones para poder vincular lo que es la base de datos del proyecto, el Arbot y la comunicación con los usuarios. De igual forma, es una herramienta que se utiliza para poder empoderar a los estudiantes sobre cuáles son los hábitos que están teniendo actualmente. Por acá tengo otra partecita. También tenemos un equipo de estudiantes de Sagrado que ha estado liderando las plataformas digitales en las cuales hemos tenido aproximadamente 107 publicaciones, 474 seguidores, 12 cápsulas de contenido educativo con lenguaje de señas y un podcast. De igual forma, hemos estado impulsando la cultura de sostenibilidad y apoyando a estudiantes líderes en la universidad para que vayan desarrollando sus proyectos de gestión ambiental. En este caso, hay un estudiante que está desarrollando un proyecto de política pública ambiental para la fiscalización de las políticas públicas que están actualmente en Puerto Rico. Ahora les quiero comentar un poco del componente artístico. En este componente artístico tenemos como líder a Rocío Cáliz Padilla e hicimos una colaboración estratégica con el Museo del Reciclaje y con el Centro de Innovación, y esta área se desemboca entre la intersección entre el arte, el diseño y la tecnología, con el objetivo de innovar el desarrollo sostenible y impulsar la reutilización y rescate de materiales por medio de la manifestación de arte y diseño, al mismo tiempo que se explora la creación de biocompuestos. En esta sección, durante esta fase del proyecto que ha sido piloto en pandemia, hemos logrado aprovechar aproximadamente 200 botellas y se han realizado pruebas de trituración y de inyección de los diferentes plásticos, del PET, del PP2 y del PP5, con el propósito de hacer manifestaciones artísticas. Acá tenemos una exhibición de arte sostenible que se realizó en el Boston Scientific durante el mes de abril para el mes del planeta Tierra, que fue realizada con materiales donados y reciclados por esta industria y fue expuesta durante sus instalaciones por un mes, precisamente para generar una conciencia de una manera más pragmática. Al mismo tiempo, gracias a este proyecto se lograron adquirir una máquina trituradora y una máquina inyectora con el Museo del Reciclaje, precisamente para que los estudiantes pudieran tener estas herramientas en sagrado y procesar los plásticos y de cierta forma utilizar este material como materia prima para la creación de otras obras de arte sostenible. Este es otro de los proyectos que se está gestando actualmente, el cual es el mural Concientizarte, que va a estar siendo realizado en colaboración con un estudiante y va a estar vinculando algunos de los plásticos inyectados y triturados. Durante esta fase piloto, el proyecto ha logrado promover colaboraciones internacionales con más de 32 organizaciones externas y ha logrado reclutar a más de 20 estudiantes de México, Colombia, Canadá y Puerto Rico dentro de las áreas de operaciones. De igual forma, otros de los triunfos que han tenido ha sido la participación de un podcast, la colaboración de las Miss Earth en Puerto Rico, exhibición en el Centro Comercial del Caribe y participar en la limpieza internacional de costas de Society, al igual que nos inventamos un challenge para promover esta cultura de sostenibilidad. Aquí tienen nuestras redes sociales y les repito nuevamente, estamos convencidos de que pequeños detalles hacen grandes cambios y de que la juventud son esas personas que pueden seguir llevando esta voz de liderazgo y de cambio en sus instituciones educativas. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful, Santiago. All right, we have RCE Saskatchewan on board next. I see that we have the Bliss Business Leaders Impacting Sustainability in Saskatchewan up first. So we have Aurelie McPherson and Roxanne Wagner. So if you guys are ready, or if Julia also, whatever order the three groups want to go in for Saskatchewan, feel free. Julia's already sharing.
Okay. Oh, she's already sharing. Okay, sorry.
Sorry about that. I cannot share if you want to go first.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay. Very good. So there, can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Good show. Okie dokies. So we're part of the RCE Saskatchewan, and we're working with the afforestation areas here in Saskatoon. And we have an international event coming up. We're talking, our main theme of our presentation tonight will be on climate action. We're doing nature-based solutions to climate action, and we have this major presentation bringing together people from around the world. We are going to be talking about the billions of trees planted worldwide, the protection of a couple secret forests in Saskatoon, environmental education and climate action. We are focusing on how we can do climate action through nature-based solutions. And one of it is by not only planting trees, but by protecting the trees everywhere. Richard St. Barbe Baker quite often said that the millions of acres of our farmlands are reaching destruction, and we have to work towards saving them. If 1/3 of our skin is lost, we assuredly die. And if the earth loses 1/3 of its trees, it will assuredly die as well. We find it very rewarding to work towards the UN SDGs. In yellow are all the ones we're aiming towards, and then hopefully we will get to a part where we can do agroforestry or social forestry and attack zero hunger as well. So climate action, life below water, and life on land are our easy ones. With our presentation coming up on November 6th, we're going to be able to do an amazing one for partnerships for the goals. And by saving the afforestation areas in Saskatoon, we are going to be able to work towards sustainable cities as well. At some time, we're going to work on planting trees out at the afforestation area. Right now, our major thrust has been restoration work. So we have been doing a lot of major cleanups in the afforestation areas, and we've taken out tens of thousands of pounds of garbage. We also have been doing, oh, well, that's interesting. There we go, that's better. I didn't know that would progress if it was still going. So part of our group's goal is to also bring in the community, the GPS Prairie Forest app. So we're going to work on cultural issues when we just had the first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation here in Canada. We're also going to be working on geographical, natural heritage, and of course the land below water and life on land goals of the UN SDGs, which is very exciting. We have a 50th anniversary coming up in 2022. The Green Survival Program went across North America with the Horticultural Association. It was one of the beginning movements of the environmental movement, sort of the precursor to what we call climate action right now. And we are also celebrating the 40th anniversary of Richard St. Barbaker's last tree planting on Global Environmental Day next year. Richard St. Barbaker was responsible for planting billions and billions of trees worldwide, and formed the International Tree Foundation. Going back to the 50th anniversary, we'll also say that in 1972, our forests were started under a major tree planting initiative by the city of Saskatoon, where 660 acres were preserved in perpetuity. We've lost a few, and we're down to 474 acres only, and we're in danger of losing another 148 acres. So we're still pressing forward to save trees. At beginning in 1972, there were initially 2,200 acres planted, and we only got the 660 acres planted, which is again like down to the 474. The Men of the Trees Foundation, or the International Tree Foundation, started by Richard St. Barbaker, at its peak was at 105 countries, and it's since diminished. But because our afforestation area is named after Richard St. Barbaker, we'll also be celebrating the anniversary date of when the Dance of the Trees happened in July 22nd down in Kenya, Africa. So it's very exciting. Going back to the 50th anniversary again, Baker was responsible for planting billions of trees, and on November 6th of this year, we're going to be celebrating when the Chancellor of the University of Saskatchewan bestowed upon him the Honorary Doctorate of Laws for Global Humanitarian and Conservation Practices, because he planted billions of trees worldwide, and he believed it was a very peaceful project. So we're asking you to join us for the Partnerships for the Goals, which will happen November 6th at our time, which is UTC -6. So we're having it professionally made by Aspen Films, and we've had the support from the Government of Canada. We're expecting people from around the world to be presenting at it, like Dr. Alan Granger from England. We've got an amazing person from Scotland, Alan Watson Featherstone. Scott Poynton is out of Switzerland. We've got Robert White here at home with us, who is absolutely amazing with his ecological knowledge. And we've got Vance Martin out of Colorado, USA. David Van Vliet is a professor out of Manitoba. Paul Hanley is an amazing author who wrote a biography about Richard St. Barbaker. Hugh Locke from New York, and Leona Graham from Scotland. These are all global conservationists and ecologists that have made a big difference wherever they are. And why we've got these particular people on our roster is every single one of them knew Richard St. Barbaker or were inspired Richard St. Barbaker to go on to do global environmental protection and climate action work. And just recently, we've had on board Tony Renato from World Vision, who was awarded the Order of Australia. So that's very exciting to have him on board as well, to come and speak to us about the vision of Richard St. Barbaker. What we've heard about people that knew Richard St. Barbaker is that he made a dynamic impact on everybody. We know about the sad impacts of 9/11, but everybody remembers exactly where they were during 9/11 And all these people can remember exactly where they were when they met Richard St. Barbe Baker. And everybody that met Richard St. Barbe Baker has gone on to do tree planting and etc. Like I can tell people to plant trees and nobody listens to me, but somehow Richard St. Barbe Baker had that charismatic influence on people. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you kindly.
Thank you so much, Julia. We're going to go ahead and have Aurelie and Roxanne present when they're ready.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly.
And is my screen coming up?
It is starting to come up right now. You are all good.
Great. Thank you so much. It's been so nice to hear all the exciting projects and more importantly, just to connect with other RCEs. So big thank you to everybody who organized this. We want to share our story about Bliss. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit of the backstory and where we're dreaming of going. So we're Saskatchewan RCE, and we're the business leaders impacting sustainability in Saskatchewan. And we called ourselves Bliss because we've just come through COVID and it's like, man, we could use a little bit of bliss. I've had the absolute pleasure of co-chairing Bliss with Roxanne Wagner, and I'm going to talk more about that in just a minute. We're from Saskatchewan, and Saskatchewan is this beautiful prairie province in the middle of Canada. We're very resource rich here, but we are starting to feel the impacts of climate change. We just came through a really bad drought. And to give you an example, canola usually comes off at about 40 to 60 bushels per acre. And in some parts of the province, it's going to be 2 to 4 bushels per acre. So we're starting to see our businesses are being impacted. This is a picture of my husband and my good friend Wendell Star Blanket. And I wanted to share this with you because I wanted to share how I became curious why business leaders should care about sustainability. Wendell and I worked together on some volunteer work that I did for protecting the water. He helped organize a 5-pipe ceremony to take pause and bless the water. And through this relationship, Wendell shared with me that he was very concerned that he felt that his house was making his wife sick. And so we have an engineering company. So he asked us if we would come out and see if there's anything we could do to improve the health of the house. Long story short, we did. We found a really nice solution to improve air quality, and we won a Canadian Green Building Council Award in 2021. When we took on that project, I said to my husband, I said, I want to try what I've learned with the water and apply it to our business. So I want to put those 17 goals of sustainable development as a platform and see what happens. And I was absolutely blown away by the social capacity, the relationships that we built, just all the things that when you bounce off those 17 goals, how it really gives you a strong foundation. So I went to so I was thinking about this. So then I went to an RCE meeting, and Roger said he got a really nice email from Trevor McGuire. And Trevor put out the question that if RCE had ever thought about doing a thematic on business. And so I said, Roger, I would really like to chair or co-chair. And Roxanne stepped up and said, hey, Orly, I'll co-chair that with you. And what I want to share is that sometimes you go into these processes and you have no idea what you're doing, but it somehow falls into place. So I had the background of business, but Roxanne has a master's degree in sustainability. And so working together has absolutely, where I'm weak, she's strong. And so I'm going to let Roxanne take over and share what sort of opportunities we want to present to businesses in Saskatchewan. So Roxanne.
Thank you, Orly. You know, as an RCE member, each of us have a lot of wealth of information on sustainability. And I want you to picture this. you've been asked to go in and talk to a company about sustainability, specifically the SDG goals. And you walk in and you go into the boardroom and there's the president. And she's just had a hectic week. She just met with HR. She had a meeting with finance. And later that week, she's going to be going in and talking to shareholders. They're going to be talking about the price for the next quarter. And you walk in, and if you say the word sustainability, if you can imagine how they're going to react, they're going to be going, oh my gosh, this is one more thing that I have to do on my list. It can be overwhelming. And I think what's important to look at is that when we're talking about sustainability, sometimes we don't even use the term sustainability. And we talk in a language that businesses are familiar with. And what they're familiar with are numbers. And really, they are so relatable. And if any of you are familiar, what you're seeing on the slide here are so many of the benefits that businesses can relate to of sustainability. And a lot of this comes from the work of Bob Willard. He's a business consultant from Ontario, Canada. He's had worked for years of experience working for IBM. And he's shown many companies how they can, improve their revenue through just new opportunities. They can improve their productivity and retention of employees, which we know is substantial savings. They decrease their expenses by reducing energy, water, and material waste. And overall, they're improving their top line, they're reducing their expenses, which means improving the profit. And that's really, if you're in a meeting and you're talking about those things, they can relate to that and you'll get their ears. And so at Bliss, we want to meet everyone where they're at, speak in their language, and that often means speaking in numbers. So when we refer to the SDG indicators, how can we discuss this and include financials that they can relate to? And at Bliss, we really want to just foster these relationships, provide tools to have these continued conversations. And so we just like to open it up that there's Orly's email, but if any of you have experience or stories that you'd like to share with us on how you've been able to relate and have conversations with business, please let us know. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. All right, I think we're ready for our last presentation of the evening. If we have Deanna Herman ready for us, this will be our last presentation.
Thank you. I'll just share my screen. I'll just wait for a second while we finish up sharing the last one. Great, thanks. Okay, so thanks very much, everyone, for allowing me to share the brief overview of Hannon Creek Education and Applied Research Center, located in northern Saskatchewan, Canada. It's on Treaty 6 territory and homelands of the Métis people. My name is Deanna Herman, and I'm an academic chair with Sask Polytech, which is one of the partners of this project, along with Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation. So just to give you a little bit of background, the Hannon Creek site has operated as an educational center for several decades, but in 2013, Sask Polytech joined with the Wildlife Federation to expand into an educational and research center in the boreal forest that would serve many audiences. And that included post-secondary students, youth camps, educational and scientific researchers, First Nations youth, and it's the only center of its kind in Saskatchewan, and it's one of the few in the country. So the center started out as a rustic camp that was upgraded to become the highlight of the educational experience for students at Sask Polytech in our natural resource management programs. So shown here is a group of students in the Integrated Resource Management program that trains natural resource managers in forestry, fisheries, and wildlife. And we also train conservation officers who work in management of wildlife populations, as well as enforcement of environmental regulations. And students in geographic information science, in the Geographic Information Science program, use remote sensing technology to help map resources and monitor plant and animal populations. So those are just a few of the post-secondary groups that go through our facility. A few years ago, a modern wet lab building was constructed to facilitate post-secondary student training, First Nations land-based education, and applied research projects, which are conducted not only by Sask Polytech researchers, but also researchers from the University of Saskatchewan, various environmental agencies, and provincial ministries. The picture of the wood lily at the bottom of the screen is an example of the boreal flora that's near the center. So this particular plant has been cataloged in the provincial registry as one of the rarest species in the province. To supplement Sask Polytech's commitment to Canada's reconciliation with Indigenous peoples, the third phase of development at Hannon Creek will be an Indigenous encampment and outdoor learning center. And so there's an example of the type of structures that we'll be setting up in this outdoor learning center. And along with that will be the development of a greenhouse powered by alternative energy, which will be in aid of the study of food sustainability in the north. So the Indigenous Learning Center will be focused on land-based education for a variety of audiences, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous. And we plan to start the site preparation this fall and want to have the project completed in the spring of 2022. Sask Polytech is an RCE Saskatchewan partner, as was mentioned by Roger at the beginning of our evening here. And in 2020, the Hannon Creek Education and Applied Research Center was recognized as an acknowledged flagship project for RCE Saskatchewan for contributions to SDG goal number 15, Life on Land. The training of post-secondary students, community members, and researchers in the management of forest and freshwater ecosystems will continue to grow and expand through this important and continuing partnership. So thanks very much for taking the time to learn about our Hannon Creek Educational Center, and please feel free to contact me at any time.
Thank you so much. That was absolutely wonderful. And thank you again to everybody that's presented today. I'm going to hand it off to Brittany to do our closing remarks. And thank you again for making this an amazing day.
Thanks, Rye. Thanks everyone so much for joining us tonight. Sorry that we went a little bit over. It's so nice listening to everybody's presentations, and I could sit here like all night listening to them all. Right now, we don't have anything scheduled past this. If we want, if anybody has any questions, feel free to stay over. I'll keep the Zoom open. I've also shared in our chat box the contact information of all the speakers if you would like to ask them a personal question. But thank you again, and we appreciate you all so much. And I'll see everyone tomorrow.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. I love those presentations. It's so much good stuff that's going on. See you guys. Brittany, I'll catch up with you in the morning.